One of the most common questions I get asked in this job is, what's your favorite ATV? Well, lucky for me, I never have to pick just one. I can have a whole bunch of favorites for every occasion. And one ATV that's always been on my list, year after year, is Polaris's Outlaw 525 IRS. I wouldn't take it mudding, I wouldn't use it to do yard work, and I wouldn't take it to my local motocross track. But if the day calls for fast trails or open fire roads, guess what's in my trailer? And man, you'll be hard-pressed to find an ATV that's more fun, or more at home for that matter, when the throttle's being pitched wide open. Basically, this thing is everything we love about an independently suspended utility ATV and everything we love about a sport ATV rolled into one. Of course, the beauty of this bike lies in its chassis. Many would start with its motor, but let's face it, as good as the motor is, it's not unique. Getting sport bike excitement with utility smoothness? Now that's special. The Outlaw's independent rear suspension, or IRS, is more than just a front suspension on the back. This system has been specifically designed for this application. Notice how the A-arms are tilted up at the front. This is a design feature Polaris has been using on their snowmobiles for years, and one that nets major benefits with this application also. This design allows the wheel to move rearward while it's moving upwards through its travel. The idea behind this is that you're still moving forward as you hit a bump, so having the wheel move with the bump while you're moving absorbs some of that motion's energy and lessens the sharp impact you'd normally feel. The lower A-arms and upper control arms are cast aluminum and bolt directly to the frame. The rear shocks are high-quality, rebuildable Fox podiums with high-speed compression, rebound, and threaded preload adjustability. It almost seems unbelievable an ATV that looks this sporty could possibly have 10 full inches of rear-end ground clearance, but it does, and it makes a huge difference when you're running rocky or really muddy trails. Another benefit of this rear end that rarely gets any attention is the fact that the chain drive system does not require any slack when the tension is being set. Because the distance between the sprockets stays the same all the time, you simply adjust the chain tight and that's it. One of the most important features on the back end of the Outlaw 525 IRS is this sway bar. Without it, you'd literally feel like the ATV was going to roll right over every time you went around a corner. But the way Polaris has got this sway bar set up couldn't get much better in our opinion. It's stiff enough that the ATV will roll into a power slide just a bit. Then it squats down and drifts perfectly. Oddly enough, most people who take this thing for a spin on a fast fire road section actually feel it corners better than the solid axle version. That's really up to each rider to decide. Me though, I completely agree. Now, other sport IRS bikes out on the market try to lessen body roll by setting the rear sway bar so stiff the wheels never seem to operate independently, which makes the whole setup kind of pointless. But the Outlaw has found the perfect balance between stability and independent travel. On rough trails, each wheel is free to move on its own, which seriously cuts down on the amount of side-to-side kicking often associated with trail sport quads. Up front, you'll find Polaris's standard Outlaw double A-arm setup. Like all 2009 Outlaws, the steering rack found on the 08s has been removed to save weight. Unfortunately, we at DirtTrax feel this negatively impacts handling, which was near perfect on the older bikes. Non-piggyback Fox podiums are standard fare up front and do a great job of eating up just about any terrain. They're rebuildable and feature threaded bodies for infinite preload, rebound, and compression adjustability. Engine-wise, the 525 is amazing, but how could it not be? This is a KTM mill, and everyone knows they mean business. The extra grunt down low helps get the heavier than average IRS Outlaw moving, like immediately. And while top speeds are good with this bike, we think this engine could pull a taller final gear ratio in fifth for a bit higher mile per hour. Polaris specs the rest of the bike with standard Outlaw bits and pieces, including steel heel cups, Maxxis tires, plastic skid plates, and reverse gear. All pretty standard stuff for a sport ATV. But bits and pieces aside, this is no standard ATV. It's the pinnacle of on-trail performance. It's what anyone who wants sport performance but spends the majority of their time on the trail should be riding, and it's what you're going to see me riding a lot this year.